This top film Yerushalmi Ma'asros, and the article owes the harder edition on the top of Daf Gimel Amud Aleph, the first two dots. Tani Kol Shetchilas Oichel, and in the Vilna that's on the base Amud Aleph. Starting from the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 5 lines from the bottom. And our relation is close for Am Yisrael tonight, the Israel attacked Iran, which had the Yeshua from all of our enemies. The Kamaraki has Tanya and said, Tani, Koshkilos Ochel Ein Sofa Ochel, eating which is a food and does not end as food. In other words, it ends up like those shoots, it ends up to be hard and not suitable to eat. Koshkilos Ochel Ein Sofa Ochel Chai because it's chai in its when it's still edible. Maislach, what a case is, Tani, like Linham Kaim Malaya, shall prove somebody who sustains a malaya, it's a patch of kruv, of cabbage, which of course is right to eat when it's less mature. But he wants to keep it till it's tough enough that it dries up and it makes seed, which is suitable to replant. But daito, people don't do that for a whole patch. And the thought to make zera does not make it ice edible, and therefore, if you harvest it before it actually dries up, it's mechayev in Trumas Ma'asros. He hasn't able to get out of it. Klach and yechidim, individual stalks, lo daito. Oh, that we can accept. And those will be butter, even if you harvest them early, decides to harvest them early, they're still not going to be chayav in Trumas Ma'asros. The Vilna's girsa is Mekayim Le'eshel Achroya. Not Kruv, but evidently the Rasirilio and others changed the girsa because Achroya is not something we know. Kruv is something with which we are familiar, and apparently that is the proper girsa. So the Amar Buna said, Bushalik and Yerek. This is if you gathered it as a vegetable. Low Yulik and Yerek, you didn't gather it when it was a vegetable. In other words, you left the whole patch. You did leave the whole patch. Okay, you're crazy, but so what? You left it, and now it's wood. So it's hard. You say, where is Chayav Ma'asros? So of course, if you actually left them, the entire patch, it's not going to be Chayav in Trumas Ma'asros. Anything which does not begin as food but ends as food. Maislach, what is cases like this, because that is like with the Basra, like later on, subsequently, I should say, that there's a Mishnah later on. When our fruit chai ma'asros hateinim mishi avchilu, the figs when they get a certain type of moisture in them, and only from that time on are considered relachil and chayiv in Trumas Ma'asros. And before that, but lo daito, they can't be chayiv in Trumas Ma'asros. Okay, halacha base. So a little bit of introduction here for Kavanaki. I wrote inside my Gemara. Sakem es kol mavo. Summarize the entire introduction. So we're going to have to do it. The 3 periods in which you're chayav in Ma'aser. First one is Onas Ma'asros. Beis, the second one is Gemar Malacha. Gimel is the third one is Kvius L'Ma'aser. So this is what the Rambam Ravid explained. Onas Ma'asros is when the fruit becomes suitable for Ma'aser, which means when they become suitable to eat. And then I'll eat for them achilas keva, permanent eating, but you still allow them achilas arai, a snack, without measuring them. And normally this is associated with a third of the growth or when it's grain, or that the seeds could be replanted and grow. And that actually, when this happens, it determines which year Meiser is, Meiser Sheni or Meiser Ani or Shemitah. The second stage, Beis Gamar Malacha. That's like Miruach, when you smooth out the pile, or when the piles are not smooth out, we just make a pile. That makes the fruit suitable. B'chayev kam chayev d'oraisa. If then they are raw playabais, they enter the jurisdiction of the house. And midrabanan, the other scenarios which you come then to kavua, such as Shabbos, etc. But you can still eat them as snacks until they become kavua by riyas playabais. But fruit, which was completed in order to bring them to the marketplace, as they never got into the house, Chamim said you can't eat them even as a snack until you meiser them. Gimel, the third stage, kfiyas l'meiser. The fruit is nigmar malachto. He had in mind to take him to his house, and they to only become tevo because they become kavua l'meiser, which is midoraisa when they're roy pnei, as we said, it's kavua l'meiser. Chamim said there are 6 other things. I mentioned Shabbos before. The chatzor, they enter the courtyard. Mekach, when they are sold. Aish, when they're put on the fire. Melech, salted. Truma, took off Truma, even though he didn't take off Meiser, and Shabbos. So these, and all this is by fruit which has no stockpile. But fruit, dogon tiers for Yitzhar, grain, wine, and olive oil, where it says goren v'yekev. So making the goren, the pile, or the yekev, the wine press, that's what's kovea, Trumas Meises, and you come tevel without roh pnei bayis, just with kamar malacha in and of itself. Okay, so that is the introduction. So now the Mishnah says, when is this is the early stage. Somebody wants to be kovea them as a permanent food, not as a snack. That's what's your study. The figs, when they get this bechila, which we're going to explain, and grapes, which are small desert grapes. Again, when they could reach the status of chivishu, which we're going to explain. Ha'ug, which is sumac, vatutim, and berries, which become red. Anything which gets red when it comes red. Harimonim, the pomegranates, mishir mosu, the Gemara is going to explain that. Hatmarim, the dates, mishiratilu sa'or, when they get bloated, like sourdough bloats at yeast. Parsikim, which would be peach in the Hebrew, and evidently according to Kavanoki, also in the time of the Shas. Mishiatilu gidim, when they have red threads, which I guess are seen in the skin. Vagozim, the nuts, mishiasu megura, when they become when they get inner chambers. Megura is a chamber, so they have inner chambers which divide up in the food, so become like little stockpile, internal stockpiles. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Hagozim mashkedim. Yehuda says the nuts and the almonds, mishiasu klipa, once they have an inner peel. That was Mishnah Beis. Now Mishnah Gimel. Hacharuvim, the carobs, mishayinagdu, when they get black dots. They start out as green and then they get black. The choleshchorim, anything which gets black, mishayinagdu, once they get black dots. Vagosim, pears, vakrustumulin, I think that's quince. It's something like pears. Maybe not. Can't write. I think it's quince. No, it can't be quince. I erased that here because I'm preaching. The next thing is quince, which is like an apple. Va'usterin, and crab apples. Mishi karchu. So again, when they get boiled, the ones I have to explain that to us. The kol levanim, anything which is white, whitish fruit, mishi karchu, once it becomes bald. Hatilson, fenugreek. Mishi tatzmiach, when its seed is suitable to grow the next generation. And grain and olives, once they are reach a third of their growth. Okay, the Gemara now explains. Mishav Chilu. What does Mishav Chilu mean? Achir Barava Amar Haisa Chaisa, which is Kavanaki says that Chaisa is like Choseh. And when the person feels repulsed by something, like it says, the Yerushalmi Ma'asros had said, so they become repulsive to a person. And the Gemara explains, brings the pasuk, they're so rejected me. So he says that at this point, Kavanaki explains, they're edible, but they have their taste is lousy. But since they're edible, even though the taste is lousy, they're chayiv and ma'asros. Rabbi Yaakov, Abba Bar Yaakov, Shem Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Mishadimu Pihem, from the time when their mouths, which is the place where they connect to the tree, get a reddish tinge. Chol Teinim, so that's more of Chol Teinim Pihem Madimos, but the many figs evidently which don't get red at all. So right, you take one, a sample, and you put it in Bishlam Mitochim Ace Ace. It becomes soft and suitable to eat within 24 hours. Chayavas, it's chayav. Vimla Peturos, and if not, they are potter. I should point out that there are a lot of other interpretations of Chaisa here, and the interpretation which we use is based on the Leiden and other manuscripts. Okay. In terms of other simanim for the figs, the Rashi brings down the question of the Ravid that says that Bechilas Te'enim, it says it's when they become whitish. And he says another simon. Sometimes they get white, sometimes red. Something depends on the top, the bottom. Okay, for our purposes, by the time we get pomegranates, they're well past that stage. Okay, says Gemara further. So he says that they reach a stage of growth, which is called bu'ushim, and this is not there. It's a specific type of grape, which is called bu'ushim, which never gets fully grown. So, but when any grape gets the level of bu'ushim, it's chayiv and shumas and ma'asros. So Rabbi Ivu Bar Nagdi, Rabbi Tancha Bar Levi, Shem Rabbi Nachum Bar Simai said, "V'usha teichat tzara shani keres mibachutz." This is the stage of growth is indicated when you can see through the skin of the grape the pits inside. I'm not sure it works by any grape because what about red grapes? But in any event, I guess also when they're a certain size, they're similar to white grapes, which the inside can be seen, and I guess that's the time when they reach that size, which is considered to be the state of bu'ushim, when they would be chayav in shumas ma'asros. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Rachi Ravina Akasve the Sabe. I was riding on my grandfather's shoulder. The Kavanaki points out, the Kedushin Daf Lamed Aleph, on the base, it says Rabbi Yochanan did not see his parents, so he was raised by his grandparents. And I was riding on my grandfather's shoulders, the Shamis Kale, and I heard the voice of Shimon ben Lazar, Yosei Masne, and he was sitting in Darshaning, Miskanchin, says Miskanchin, he said you're allowed to gather the seeds of a cucumber with a brush on Shabbos, with a broom, with a brush, to eat. and it's not considered to be sweeping your house, which Chazal answered with their floors, which were made of dirt, because you might come to smooth out holes, and because you're gathering it for eating purposes. The Kamragi points out that malaphone is a leg from Greek. Mellow is bloated. Fafone is squash. So it's a type of round squash which looks like an apple, a melon in English. Okay, and that is the white melon, which is called Arabic ziyar, but in English, I guess, a cantaloupe or something like that. You can't do it with the seeds of a watermelon. What's in between? That's what it says here, watermelon. What's in the seeds? I don't know, nowadays people do eat watermelon seeds, but then the seeds of the melon were used to eat. The watermelon were used for seeds, so therefore the muktzah couldn't be able to gather up on Shabbos. Omer at Cain, and you're going to allow people to gather those seeds on Shabbos by sweeping the floors. It seems like you're doing it in order to sweep out your floor, which you're not allowed to do on Shabbos. So because you're clearly not doing it for food, again, evidently because back then they did not eat watermelon seeds. Okay, and that brings us to the first two dots on Daled and Aleph. So we can obviously stop here for today.